It's easy to drive down Route 60 past the profusion of hanging ferns, flaming color, and bustling workforce at Greenleaf Landscapes and assume that this fixture business in our community started and grew with little issues. That 40 years ago, at its conception, Greenleaf was simply destined to succeed. But how is it possible that our small historical community can warrant the growth of a large systematized design and build landscape contractor with a full-service retail garden center whose closest competitor is in Columbus 2 hours away? When you ask the founder, Al Lang, what makes Greenleaf great, you'll get this unexpected response. Well, it's never been about the old man. Al believes with deep conviction that the success of Greenleaf was birthed not through the determination and prowess of one man, but through the hard work of over 1,200 employees, the give and take of neighboring properties and residents, and the loyal support of the community. While it may have started from a young man with passion and desire to give back, it grew to much more than that, and it all began 40 years ago. With Lang family roots that stretched back for generations in the Mid-Ohio Valley, Al determined to get a horticulture degree from Ohio State University and come back to pour into the community here as many of his family had before him. It didn't hurt that he met the woman that would soon be his wife while he was back on a college break.
The way this all happened is, whenever I got out of college, took a job in Columbus for a couple of years and had an opportunity to make some pretty big money going out east, but it was more important for me to get back here around the family, and there weren't too many opportunities. So there was a new landscape guy down here, so I decided to take a job with him and soon found out that his checks weren't any good. So I was down here in southeastern Ohio living, and had just gotten married and out of college a year and a half and didn't have much choice. No, I had to move back out of town or start doing my own gig. So there was an opportunity down here, so I just started working on my own, and things took off and haven't stopped yet 40 years later. So.
In 1977, with a truck, a trailer, and a bobcat, Al began operations out of his own garage.
We started in Duvall. We rented a house. It was the farm keeper's house from the Duvall farm, little block building up there. It was extremely cold. But we started there, which was pretty cool because I had a place to dump. I was in the old barnyard where they tore the barns down, so I had a place to plant some things in the garden. I had a place to store my container stock, and back then I'd take my pickup truck and drive clear to Lake County and get a load of plants, which would be the equivalent of about 3 or 4 pallets now. Yeah. And I'd drive clear to Columbus, and I'd make, Cleveland and Lake County, and make 4 or 5 stops to get this pickup load of plant material.
Al's bold solo adventure didn't stay so for long. Al traces the success of his company back to numerous individuals that supported, prodded, and cheered him on through every step. Many community members were instrumental during those early years in ensuring that Al's tentative beginning found solid standing. For instance, Lester Morgenstern, who managed a garden center on Route 60 that Al frequented for his customers' plants, soon encouraged Al to take over the ownership of the nursery. In 1978, Al took the leap and thus began Greenleaf's staple presence along Route 60.
It was time for him to get out. He wasn't making any money at it, so I'd been buying a few plants off of it. He come to me, and he liked me, and I liked him. He says, "Do you really need that?" I said, "You got to be kidding." He said, "No, why don't you take over my lease?" So took over his lease, and a couple years down the road, became good friends with the guy that held the lease, Floyd Minnie Fulmer, that live in behind here. We actually own their house now, and became good friends with him. And he said, "You really need to buy this because I can tell where you're headed." So I tried to buy half of it because I was buying trucks at 18%. I really didn't have money for it. He says, "Well, let's do it this way. At 8%, I'll do this at 8%. I'll hold the note for you." And so we land contracted it. So he made it really, really simple. So I've always remembered what that guy did for me, and I will replace that favor sometime down the road. It's about time for me to get that done.
Equally as important as the community members that encouraged and supported Greenleaf's beginning were the employees that shaped the culture of Greenleaf, allowing continued growth and success. The leap from a one-man show to a growing company is always contingent on high-quality people. And with an industry that is built on hard manual labor, exposure to extreme working conditions, and seasonal work, attracting and keeping those quality people was challenging. Most landscaping companies start over with the majority of their staff each spring. Greenleaf realized that this would cripple its ability to grow and provide high-quality service each year. Because of this, Greenleaf has employed key staff full-time through the winter since the early years, providing them with a paycheck even when business cash flow would reach all-time lows.
The spring of 83.
While Greenleaf has seen various seasons of employee growth and retainment, their goal has always been to provide a career, not just a job. Through health insurance, retirement options, stringent safety precautions, and high wage percentage, Greenleaf has constantly put employees first, knowing that happy employees means happy customers and a better community. Greenleaf's team of employees grew from one man in the 1970s to a multi-member team in the 80s and 90s with salespeople, support staff, and numerous crews. Al attributes much of the success of these growing years to the hard-working men and women that joined the Greenleaf team, many of which are still here, creating a solid foundation for Greenleaf services.
Right here, and I used to live 2 doors, all 3 driveways up the road.
Here again lies another key to Greenleaf's greatness: the people that work there, and the commitment from management to care for their well-being. Without the hard-working force that shows up every morning to face the heat and cold, rain or snow, Greenleaf wouldn't have a business.
Hey, did you get it? Yeah, you got one. Come on out, guys. Come on out. Good job, Dale.
No, if you're switching them help every year and don't have a good team that backs you up, I wouldn't be sitting in this office. You know, it's all a team effort here, because you get all these departments, and if you don't have sales, you can't do production. If you don't have production, you can't do sales. If you don't have your front office, you can't do any of them. So it's all a team effort. Everybody's got to do their part, or none of it works. So.
Even though Greenleaf had seen massive growth, they would again face challenges that would need insight, creativity, and grit if they were to continue. Here is when Greenleaf truly started to realize the challenge of the area in which they operated. With a low population, minimal new construction, and relatively lower income, the Mid-Ohio Valley simply wasn't providing the large design and build jobs that are key for traditional growth in the landscaping industry. They began experiencing the difficulties of many small maintenance-type jobs. Al realized that small jobs required just as much sales time as a large job, but the time spent to obtain the small jobs were not proving financially viable since those sales hours were not billable hours. If Greenleaf was going to survive, they had to overcome this obstacle. Al knew the answer wasn't in changing the customer's needs. It was found in changing his systems. Through this struggle, Greenleaf would emerge with a core business skill that solidified their place in this community and their ultimate success: efficient systems. The team at Greenleaf strained to develop a system that would streamline the entire sales and consulting process, making for lower prices, happier customers, and greater profit. Years ahead of their time, they developed a simple sales system that would involve a custom-designed carbonless copy form. This form included a place for drawing the design, writing out the contract with prices, reading the legalities of the transaction, and then signing the contract. This enabled the salespeople to show up, do the consultation, present the bid, sign the contract, and even get the down payment all in one stop. Since most of these jobs were smaller in nature and price, customers came to greatly appreciate the straightforward and efficient way the sales process was handled. Through many more employee and building additions, Greenleaf continued to grow. But while this growth was exciting, it was not easy. All growth comes with pain. However, Al had learned a very important lesson that many entrepreneurs never do: pay for good advice. First, Greenleaf's operations underwent scrutiny from a business consultant named Jim Regal concerning employee care, company culture, and legal protection.
Years, Jim Regal's been helping us for years, and he's been wonderful on account of the safety and everything he does now. But he started in the early '90s, so I was going to have to do something. It was killing me. I was putting in too many hours. So one day a guy drives in, and I don't know how I got to this point, but he was from Chicago, and he was a consulting company, and they give us some systems. He was here for 2 weeks. Cost us quite a bit of money, but about half killed me getting through those 2 weeks. And they didn't.
During an economic downturn, when most businesses were pulling back, cutting expenses, and laying off employees, Al had made this hefty investment. Thus began the changes that would catapult his business to greatness. It was through these difficult changes that Greenleaf became more than just a small landscaping company. It truly became a business powerhouse in the Mid-Ohio Valley. During the next few years, Greenleaf continued to prove that no hurdle is too tall. When the government passed a law stating that yard waste could not be emptied into the landfill, but rather into an EPA-approved compost site, they created the only EPA-approved compost site for Washington County. When the company desperately needed a new facility that would house their growing office and crew needs, they jumped over numerous hurdles to build a state-of-the-art facility that was economical, practical, and efficient. Here again is another key to Greenleaf's greatness. They were never afraid to invest money back into the business in order to continue pushing towards greater efficiency, greater customer service, and greater company culture. Greenleaf has seen the responsibility to always improve as a necessary part of doing business, and in turn, customers, employees, and the community have benefited from a company that values quality and relationships. While Greenleaf has always given back to the community, perhaps the company's greatest contribution has come simply because of what it stands for: a small business that can persist, improve, give, and thrive despite economic downturns and large national chain dominancy. From strong community members that have found a lifelong career at Greenleaf, to neighboring properties that have seen revitalization and repurpose, to charities throughout the valley that have benefited from gracious property improvements, the community is better because of Greenleaf's success. Greenleaf is great not just because of the youthful pursuits of one man 40 years ago, but because of the people who have made it great. A small historical community, partnering businesses, and over 1,200 employees have cultivated Greenleaf landscapes into greatness.